Oh, you can hear me, but now I can't hear you. So I have a question. I put it in the chat. So basically, one thing that I struggle with my ELO population especially is like they'll come to us and ask for help, getting a job or getting their license or what they qualify for as far as like social security number and so on and so forth. And I don't always know the answers because I don't know like what refugee students have and what are they supposed to use to get those like their driver's license, or like our immigration students, again, what do they have, how do they get to work, how can they get their driver's license, and so on and so forth. So I just didn't know like if anybody had a document with like kind of like a list of what these students need and what they can use and how they can go about using these resources.
Yeah, that's a really good question. A good way to answer is that it depends. It depends, and it's going to vary based on the different statuses, whether that is a refugee, asylum seeker, DACA undocumented student. My best advice for that will be trying to connect the student, or maybe asking for support to our local agencies that work with immigrant students and families. So, Monica, which part of the state are you in?
So there's two of us in here right now, Monica Rice and then Gabriel Hart. And so we live in Owensboro, Kentucky. So that's kind of Western Kentucky. We do have an international center here in Owensboro. So, I mean, we could always go to them and ask them questions. We haven't utilized them, I don't think, as much as we probably should, but I could definitely start there and ask them some advice.
Yeah, and specifically here in the Sierra Leone, we do two large agencies that work with our refugee students. It's called Catholic Charities, but also Kentucky Refugee Ministries, and they do have a large knowledge of working with students from different statuses, specifically on how to get that social security number, how to apply for work permits. They have dedicated staff who help those students and families. I'll be more than happy if I get your contact information to connect you with those agencies and maybe just having a general conversation, or maybe they do already have some just general documentation that explains the process for each type of a student.
What did you say the first one?
The first one was did you say it's Catholic Charities?
Yes, Catholic Charities and Kentucky Refugee Ministries.
Oh, is that okay, so we have Susan Gesser here in Owensboro. I think that's through Catholic Charities, so we can start there.
And I will also type in our contact information. And so if you want to share that, any resources with us on those, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Absolutely. I'm sorry if I'm not being more specific into that process, but it's going to vary based on the status that the person is in. Whether that is an asylum seeking, whether that is a refugee, and they're about to become a permanent resident. So they have the right to apply for a social security number. They're going to have the right to apply for a work permit. So it's going to vary based on each status. And I believe that Emily is here. She had asked a question in the previous chat.
Yeah, so I had a student who is needing testing, like she's English language learning. She is just in January got those accommodations sort of removed because she graduated from that English language learning program that the district has. And, I'm talking with her about college. I'm a college coach, and talking about like testing and meeting benchmarks and things like that. And she's like, I just can't take the tests as fast as they're, my peers, and as they're asking me to take the tests. She feels like she still needs the extra time. When I asked the administration about that, they're like, she has to learn how to test faster. Like she can't always just depend on those language accommodations being there. And I just didn't know, like, I guess when you get to college, would she be able to get those again? Or like at what point is there a rationale for like taking the language accommodations away and encouraging someone to have to kind of function without them? I just was curious what other people's thoughts on that was.
Yeah, that's a really great question too. I guess my first thought on that will be how long was the student was part of the program? Was that something that the student recently immigrated and was only 1 year within the program? And then just because the student met the benchmarks of testing, that means, is the student really ready to move forward, especially when we're talking about standardizing testing, ACT. The way that English as a second language students learn English is completely different than a native speaker. So therefore, a test like ACT is not really going to reflect our comprehension skills. And I learned these when I was working for Jefferson Community and Technical College on how universities have their own, if the students are not meeting benchmarks on the ACT, we're going to offer students some other placement exams that are better, will be a better reflection into what type of courses we can place them in. Specifically for the ESL population, it doesn't make sense that we offer AccuPlacer, which is, for example, one of the tests that we offer for them in reading. That's not really going to measure their skills. We then have, within, for example, Jefferson Community College, they offer the Michigan test. The Michigan test is built to really get a sense of the student comprehension, reading levels, and just grammar levels, instead of a general test like AccuPlacer. And once again, this is for a student who has lived their entire life in the US. So yes, the student might have graduated from the program or have met the general merit benchmarks to be out of the ESL program and then maybe be finally in English 2 or English 3 class in high school. But is the student really ready? The way that I will address that, honestly, is how long was the student was in the program? How soon did the student completed that program? And it might be something that we might need to give an extra semester for the student, or working one-on-one to the student is like, what exactly do you feel is impacting you to be faster at answering those questions? Is it more of reading? Is comprehension? Is it grammar? What exactly is that is really impacting you to test better? But let's be realistic.
Right. I think we're all coming back, but I know we were in like some pretty awesome conversations. So we do have a couple minutes to, if we want to share. I don't know if there's any final questions or just thoughts that you're having right now based on some of the discussion that was just had. And also, if you continue to have questions, please pop those in the chat right now. And we'll be sure to connect you with our guest presenters after today's session. All right, hold on. Well, thank you all again for participating in that and being with us today. I know that was a lot of like great conversation happening. Since we're coming to the end of our time together, I do want to encourage you to stay connected, of course, with the Kentucky Advising Academy, and be sure to register and be on the lookout for our March webinar. Our registration is available now, and you'll notice a different date than our usual second Thursday of every month, with this next webinar occurring on March 14th. And we did that to avoid a lot of districts had ACT testing windows that second week of March, and we wanted to make sure we were accommodating for that. So we hope you'll join us then. March's topic is ILP updates and the importance of early career awareness. And we also know that some of you might have joined us in the fall for our fall professional learning series, and we thank you for your attendance, but we wanted to share that registration is now open for our spring professional learning. That's scheduled at the end of February and right at the beginning of March at KCTCS campuses across the state. And our spring professional learning this time is focused on elevating post-secondary partnerships. And we'll build on fall's learning, but you did not have to attend the fall to be able to understand or participate or get some really valuable information from the spring. So we really hope that everyone will join us. These meetings are tailored to school counselors, administrators, Frisky coordinators, post-secondary advisors, community partners, and like we mentioned earlier, just the entire realm of what it means to be a post-secondary advisors are always welcome to attend. And we encourage you guys to also bring colleagues who are part of your advising process to work on considering innovative ways too that we can support all students. And 6 hours of ELA and Frisky credit is available for that training. So again, if you want to use the QR code, we also have our website here. And we're going to provide all these links to you in a little bit. So if you miss it while it's up on the screen, don't worry. We have these links coming at you in the chat as well. And it can always, of course, all be found on our website. Speaking of website, you can follow us there. All of our updates are always posted to our website. All of our offerings, our webinars, our podcast, and as well as how to register for our events. You can also follow us on social media. Our accounts are at Kentucky Advising Academy, and we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And if you search for the Kentucky Advising Academy on YouTube, you can also find all of our past webinars, as well as this one will be posted a little later this week. And we also record the breakout rooms. So if you chose one breakout room and you want to see what the other one was discussing, both of those will also be in that YouTube video. Again, we thank you all for being here with us today. That's all that we have. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to pop that in the chat. We have all of our important links that are being supplied in the chat as well. This QR code and form is if you need to access or submit for that ELA credit, as well as just some evaluative questions on our discussion and topic for today. We hope to see you at all of our future events. And thank you so much again to Dr. Walker Payne, as well as Amalia Gomez for their thoughtful insight and expertise shared with us today. Thank you.
And
guys.
they also dropped their emails in the chat box should you need to email them as well.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Thank you all for joining us as participants. And remember, if you do need ELA or Frisky credit, that you need to complete that survey so that we can get that to you. And we so appreciate your all's attendance today and hope you gained a lot of valuable information.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, Amalia. I think Dr. Payne might have already popped off, but that's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you didn't get the email of that person, do you?
I took a photo of it, so I will be sure to get it to you. I realized that like once we left the breakout room that we were going to lose that chat box and that you might not have been able to like copy it since you were, sharing all of that information. So, but yeah, I'll share it with you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm trying to stop the recording.